Today I'm excited to announce the release of the HSM Central Management tool by TreborTech to a small beta group. If you would like to be a part of this beta group after watching this video, please reach out and let me know. The HSM Central Manager tool is a web-based interface to help an organization manage their UBHSMs. A UBHSM is a hardware security module that's provided by Yubico. I'm not going to get into a lot of details on the UBHSM, but you can find out more information at yubico.com, or also watch some of the videos that I have on my YouTube channel that go into the fundamentals of setting up a UBHSM and some of the use cases for it. In this video, I'm going to focus on the capabilities of this tool. We're at the early developments of it. We are targeting the end of this year for a more refined tool once we get some feedback from our beta users. So with that being said, let's get started. Here I'm going to log in. Currently the tool is deployed out in Amazon. It's not necessary that it needs to be deployed into a cloud. If you want to deploy it on-prem, we will support that deployment as well. But keep in mind also, this management tool is in the cloud, and all of the HSMs are locally here on my network on different machines, making a connection out to the cloud. If you are deploying this in your organization, understand that your HSMs that you're managing can be anywhere in your organization as long as they can get to the management server. So we're going to hit login, and the first thing you'll notice is I needed a security key to log in. We do support strong authentication into the system. No key custodian is allowed to sign into the system unless they have a security key with them. So it increases the security on login. So the first panel that you're going to see is the object management panel. The HSM Central Management is exactly that. It's central management of your objects in your organization. So once an HSM is under management, and here we have several HSMs you can see at the bottom under management. Once an HSM is under management, you can no longer create objects on those HSMs. You have to create the objects at the management system, and then from the management system, it will distribute them out to the HSMs that they need to be in. Now, the other thing is, all objects that are created with the management tool do not get deployed out to all HSMs under management. The HSM Central Management tool has a concept called distribution groups, where an object will be associated with the distribution group, and so will the HSM. So if that distribution group has certain objects in it, it will deploy it out to whatever HSMs it's assigned to as well. And we'll go through a little bit of that here. In this panel, what this allows you to do is get deeper inspection of each of the individual objects that are under management. Here we can see that I have an IoT 3D printer authentication object. We can see the domains and the capabilities that are associated with it and what distribution groups it's with. An additional part of this system is the event logs are translated from what the HSMs produce. So the HSM, these log files are produced on the HSMs. They're pulled to the HSM master server, and then they are transformed to something that you can read and look through what's going on here. So it's translating the numerical command to a command that you can read. So here you can see that on the Lab 3D printer HSM, which you can see down here at the bottom, it imported a wrapped key of the IoT 3D printer. So this was when this object was put into that distribution group, that object was replicated out, and that's that record of that replication. We have several other object types. We have some HMAC. This is HMAC here for the objects. A good use case for this would be AWS keys you can put in here. So instead of keeping them clear text files locally on the system, you can store them on the HSM, and the signing is done on the HSM. So these keys, once they are stored on the HSMs, cannot be pulled off from the user. So unlike other systems where you check out a key, that key is still in plain text, either in an environment variable or a text file locally on the system. When you deploy out the UBHSM, you can eliminate that security risk there and just keep the keys in the HSM. I have a few other videos that go deeper in that. So here we have different information for that. We can come down to the dashboard. The dashboard section here is going to give you the status of the distribution groups, of what HSMs have checked in and received all the objects that are associated with them. And not only receive the objects, but remove the objects that should be removed from them. So when they check in, they do a remove and add process at the same time. So you're synchronizing everything on that HSM. The other thing is we have VPN hosts here. All HSMs that are under management require a VPN connection into the system. Now the VPN system is built into the deployment scripts that we have here. It's a very lightweight VPN solution, and the hosts that manage the HSMs will make the connection out to the management server. And you can see here that all three of my hosts that are out there have all connected very recently. The third panel here is going to be more information about the HSMs that are under management, so you can get deeper inspection of each of the HSMs that are on the system. And if we come here to the Lab 3D, we see that the Lab 3D has the IoT Group 1 associated with it. And if you click on it, you can see all the objects that would be associated with that group and what HSMs would be associated with that group. So that is kind of your normal management of the HSMs through those three panels. The fourth panel here is more of a system-wide administration, and this is for your aliases and your domain aliases. Here underneath authentication, each of the objects you create have a set of capabilities associated with them. This is for an HMAC key. It tells the object what it is allowed to do or what it can be used for. When you're creating objects, you could have several different properties that are associated. So if I click on this IoT devices one, you can see here I have a couple capabilities. Being able to generate a pseudo-random number off of the HSM, which is very helpful for most organizations to have that hardware to depend on for a pseudo-random. Signing HMAC, wrapping data, for encryption of things. All of these capabilities, now I don't have to remember what capabilities I assign for IoT devices. I can just select this alias, and any objects that I create with this alias will get this set of permissions. So it's very helpful to have that alias capability there. The next section here is the domain aliases. On the UBHSM, it has a security boundary of domains. So you can put an object in multiple domains or just one domain. But those domains are represented with a number. What we do here is allow you to put a more meaningful statement to that number. So you can say, hey, domain 1 is for DevOps, domain 2 is for our AWS dev environment, and so on. So it gives you a little bit more control there. Now, we do reserve the last domain for management keys. That may change in the future, but we've just decided to push it to the end there. And also here we have distribution groups. You can see that I have an Acme distribution group and an IoT one. If we go back to the dashboard, we only saw the IoT one. Yet there is an Acme group here, and the reason is if we click on it, there are no HSMs and no objects associated with it. So let's go ahead and change that. We're going to come to the object management panel. We're going to just create a test object of opaque. An opaque object allows you just to put random data inside of the object. We'll put this to Acme. Domain. This is a test. We're going to create that object. And then very shortly, you'll see it pop up here once it refreshes, and we can see that the test object has been created. We're going to go ahead and add it to the Acme group. And we don't have any log files here just yet for that object. It takes a little while to get replicated for the log files. We pull it every minute or so. We can change that time if it needs to go one way or another, whatever works for the organization. Next, what we'll do is we'll come down to the HSM, and we're going to say this is the Acme HSM, so we're going to add them to the Acme group as well. Now if we go to the dashboard, we can see that the objects have already been replicated out to that HSM for Acme. That was fairly quick. So we'll come on to the opaque object that we created. These log files are created when the object was created. And we can see here this was done on the management HSM, which is the HSM that creates all objects in a system. And we can see here that it did a put operation, which created that object and the name that it called it. The next thing it did was it export wrap. All objects that are created on this system are exported, encrypted, and backed up. And these backed up files can be located wherever you need them, but you can absolutely have backups of the system. And I will show you also, let's see if that updated. Okay, looks like it pulled the login, and you can see the Acme HSM import wrap and the key. So right there was the full life cycle of creating an object, adding it to a distribution group, and having it replicate it out to that HSM. It did not replicate out to the lab printer or the other HSM that's under management, just the one that we had in the distribution group. But let's say that we want to retire that object. We can go delete, and depending on where we want to be with our backups, we can either delete the object or we can delete it and all the backups of it. So it'll go through and completely clean out any of the backup files for that object. So that has been just a really quick overview of the HSM Central Management tool. We do plan on making a few more updates to it in the coming months. There's some UI updates that we want to make. If you do have any feature enhancements that you would like to see in it, or again, if you'd like to be a part of that beta group, feel free to reach out to me, rob@TreborTech.com. You can go to our website at www.trebortech.app or www.trebortech.com. And thank you for watching. Bye.